I just turned on the recording, so we're a little bit into it, but we'll kind of catch up as we go here.
Thank you.
So we are recording. Good. Okay. So up here in the on the dashboard screen itself, this is the dashboard you can see for Community Health Division. This homepage button up here, there are 3 screens that you can make as your login homepage, meaning when I log in, I go to this screen. This is one of them. So if I'm the health director or somebody at a high level who's not going to be entering plans or updating plans, I just want to see the dashboard for my area of responsibility. When you log in, you're attached right to your area of responsibility. And I can say, make this my login homepage. So instead of going to the main menu or the reports menu, which are the other 2 options here, I can take it right to my dashboard. So it just helps, saving mouse clicks and navigation and that sort of thing.
Okay.
Up here at the top left, the big picture again are the bottom 3 levels of the pyramid. So my activities, my objectives, and my goals. And I'm just looking at the traffic lights, basically. So right now I'm saying we have, looks like 23 activities. 1 is red, 5 is yellow, 12 is green, and 5 is gold in here. And we're about 81 days ahead of schedule. The way that this schedule is calculated is pretty simple. Every activity's got a beginning date and an ending date, as you saw when you're entering it in there. And then you've got a percent complete. And it's either calculated or it's a finite percent complete that you've entered, depending on the type of activity. But let's say we have January 1st is our beginning date, and December 31st is our end date, and today is July 1st. We're exactly 50% of the way through the year. Now, if my activity is 40% complete, then we're 10% behind schedule. If my activity is 60% complete, we're 10% ahead of schedule. So that's how it's doing that calculation. And then what it's doing is kind of adding all those up across 23 activities and saying, aggregately, we're 81 days ahead of schedule. Now, when we get down to below schedule, one day below schedule, it turns yellow. Get to 60 days below schedule, it turns red. So again, the idea is to be able to look at the colors and the numbers and get a snapshot of the performance, in this case, of community health. When I say community health, again, it is community health plus the first 2 level subgroups. And in this case, under community health are tobacco and WIC. So it's going to show tobacco and WIC data. The reason for that is the director for WIC and the director for tobacco are reporting to the community health director. So they're under his area of influence. So he wants to see the performance of his whole area. That's why we do that. This show subgroups button we talked about earlier. If I were at the department level for HIV and I hit show subgroups, it's going to show every level of subgroups, not just the next level down, but the levels all below that. So you could go down to literally 10 levels deep if you wanted to. Sometimes it could be a lot of data, so it may take a little while to generate the screen, so just be aware of that. Everything on this screen is clickable. So for instance, if I wanted to see what are these 5 yellow activities, I can click on that. It's going to take me to a screen that just has those 5 yellow activities. I can go down and kind of look at them and look at the notes and find out who's responsible for them, that sort of thing. And maybe say, oh, I forgot to update this. So I can go in here and change the status. Or I could say, well, I need to talk to Fred and get him online here to figure out why we're behind schedule on this particular activity. So it just allows you to go right to the activities that are in the traffic light or anywhere else on the screen. Now, to get back to the dashboard screen, I got 2 options. I can either click the back arrow up here, or I can go back to my traffic light. Now, the one thing that has to happen, and it takes about 10 to 12 seconds each time you generate the screen. The reason it has to regenerate the screen each time is because it's a multi-user system. So you're not the only one potentially working in this plan. You may have a bunch of other people updating stuff in there. So in order to make sure you're looking at real-time data, we always recalculate the screen going back to it. So that's why it takes a little bit of time each time. Now, down here at the bottom, we have 3 drill downs. Number 1 is my people. So as you recall, at the activity level, like we did with yours, we assign people as activity leads. That's who these folks are down here. The next column over here says, when did this person last update their information in the system? Again, green is less than 30 days ago, yellow is 30 to 60, red is over 60 days. So it just gives you a nice snapshot of how real time is my data. In this case, it's only about halfway real time. I got the 3 greens, but I got a yellow and a couple of reds in here. So I probably want to have a chat with Mara and Tom just to say, hey, can I give you a little training on how to do the updates on these things so we can keep up with everybody else in the system? Once they know that you're looking at this and they can look at this, they're going to make sure that everything is green. I'll guarantee you, just because they don't want to be the outlier when everybody else is green and they're the red person out there. Kind of looks bad for them. So, it's kind of a mini audit, if you will.
Right.
Uh,
Okay.
at the when you're assigning the people as activity leads and activity team members, you can also assign that FTE value, the 0 to 1. So how much of this person's time is dedicated to this activity during the time period of the activity. So between the beginning date and the ending date. And what it does then is roll that up across all the activities out there by person. So what you're saying here is that, you would have Fred at a 0.3 FTE, which is way, way underloaded. You've got William at a 1.3 FTE, which is a little bit overloaded in here. Then you got some of these folks, way out of bounds. In an ideal world, you want to try to limit that to a, kind of a 1.0 FTE. Now, typically,
Right.
the only time this is used is during budgeting cycles or grant cycles. So you're looking in there and say, how much budget dollars do I need to be able to run the tobacco program or run community health in this case? So you can go ahead and say, okay, I can add all of these numbers together here, and I can say I'm going to multiply that by my average income per person. So burden income, meaning all the benefits and everything else. So it may be, the burden income is $100,000 a year. So I can say I've got to have this many people. Maybe it's 5 or 6, 7 FTE, something like that. So 7 times that $100,000 or whatever it is. So that's what I need to have in the budget. So that's kind of what that is all about, is getting that. And then the other thing you want to do here is make sure that you're not overloading people. You get people at a 1.5 FTE or greater, they're going to be overloaded and be looking for a new job basically at that point.
Right.
The lagging column here says I have an activity, that same calculation we did up here, the beginning date, ending date, percent complete, and it just says we're lagging behind schedule. And again, the color coding is the same thing up here, the green, yellow, and red as to how far behind schedule. The days column is the same as this schedule gauge up here for the individual person. So it says Diane is 81 days ahead of schedule and Andrea's 9 days behind schedule. And as you get, farther behind schedule, you can see it turns red in here.
Mm-hmm.
Overdue says I have, in this case, 3 activities that the ending date is at least 60 days before today. That's why it's red. If it was yellow, it would be 0 to 30 days or 0 to 60 days behind schedule. So it just gives you the idea that I've got activities that are way overdue and they're not complete yet. And then again, the number of red, yellow, green, and gold activities in there. So that's my first view, is my people. My second view then would be my groups. And as I mentioned, it's going to be the selected group plus its first level subgroups. So in this case, I got community health division, and we'll see down here, we'll see community health, we'll see tobacco and WIC, as you can see down here. And the little dashes in front here just indicate the hierarchy. So community health is the top level with 1 dash. 2 dashes means that it's 1 below community health. That's all it is. And then the same thing over here. You got the last time it was updated, the lagging and all the other information is the same over here. My third view then would be my priorities. That is typically the strategic priorities from your strategic plan mapped against every other plan in the system. Now, in your guys' case, it might be the integrated plan, might be what you want to be able to use. So these would be the what we call the services or initiatives from your integrated plan down here, and then they get mapped against everything else. Now, there's one more training after you're in the system for a while and kind of comfortable and developing plans. I want to take you through the 3-dimensional planning training, and that's where this comes from, is mapping this against everything else and actually mapping anything against anything in the system so you can kind of combine plans together. So in this case, we're saying these are the 5 strategic priorities from our strategic plan, and basically the same information we were talking about over there. So that's our drill downs at the bottom here. Up here at the top, we have the My Priorities. Again, individually selectable objectives you want to keep your eye on. To select them, I'm going to click on this one. It's going to take me to the objectives. So you can see this green flag right here. This green flag indicates that it's going to appear on my dashboard, my login dashboard. I go up to the one above it here, and you notice the flag is gray. If I want this one also to appear, I just click on the gray flag, and I'm going to go back to my dashboard here. Now, what this is telling me is that I'm now in a different group. If I scroll down to the bottom, you'd see I was in the tobacco group. So I'm one of the subgroups. So this dialogue is saying, do you want to now see a dashboard for the tobacco programs Or do you want to see the dashboard back for the community health division? I'm going to go ahead and say I'm going to go back to community health. So it's going to go ahead and recalculate the dashboard again and take me back to the community health. I'll fix that here in a second so we can see it. There we go. Not sure what's going on with my screen here. Okay, so this down here at the bottom is how we know where we are. This is the cookie crumb. So when I roll over, it says we're USA Public Health, Community Health Division, and then if I had a service or initiative selected, it would show up with the number here, and then the rollover would define the service or initiative, goal, objective, and activity in here. Yeah. So anyhow, when I was down there, clicked on one of these, this would have been saying tobacco 2024, and hence it's saying, do you want to see a dashboard for tobacco, or do you want to go back to community health? So we went back to community health. So that's the dashboard screen. That is the macro level. That's kind of the big picture. And again, any group, and a group can be a plan in itself, or it can be a division, an office, or a program. So you can look at anything in your dashboard. And you can set your default group to be that group. So when you log in, it takes you to the dashboard for that group. So it's really kind of a nice dynamic tool to be able to use up there. And it's also available on your phone. So the link that you go to log in on your desktop, the login.vmsgdashboard.com, go to the same thing on your web browser in your phone. The same login credentials that you set up, so your user ID and your password, or your email and your password, same credentials. It knows that it's on a phone. It's going to bring up VMSG Mobile. This is the same screen you just saw broken down into the 3 phone screens. Identical functionality. Everything is clickable on here. I can go down and look at these 5 objectives or these 5 activities. I can drill down on anything over here. I can select and unselect my priorities. So everything is exactly the same, except obviously it's on your phone. So what's kind of nice about that is if you're not one of those people who's in the office all the time and you want to go back and say, hey, how is the strategic plan performing today? Or how's the integrated plan performing? Or how's community health performing? You can do it on your phone. So that is macro level performance monitoring. Questions?
Okay. No questions yet.
Okay. Let's go talk about micro level then. So micro level, again, is the objectives or the activities. So I'm going to go back down to the path that we were at before. I'm going to go to my group screen. I'm going to go down. I'm going to select the tobacco group and just navigate down the tabs. So we got tobacco cessation, reduce smoking in high schools. And this is my reduce smoking at my good old alma mater, Wayne High School, by 25% by the end of the school year. The micro level chart is really simple. It's this one right here. So what it's showing me is from day one, and basically, and I'll show you where this data comes from here in a minute. But from day one, we were at a 0% reduction, slowly ramped up and got up to today, we're at a 25% reduction. So this is the chart. We've already seen this before. Now, there's some tweaks that you can make to this chart. So number one, you notice each one of these has a date on it. So we're going up through, looks like May of 21, and we kind of jumped to 23 up here. Again, it's demo data. But if I just wanted to see the 2021 chart, I can go in here and say 2/1/21 is my lowest level, and then I could change this to May 1 of 21 up here. And then what it's going to do is basically cut out these 2 data points. And you can do that. Let's say you're using it for a couple of years, and I want to go back and look at year 1. So I can go in and just set the dates for, let's say 2021. So I say January 1, 21 through December 31st, 21. My whole chart will be within that year. So it just allows you to horizontally cut it back. Now, when I'm doing that, I got a couple of choices here. We call the time frames. So raw says, show me every data point. So every time something was saved, show me that data point. Or if I'm doing, let's say I'm doing an entry every week in this particular case, and I want to be able to say, I just want to see the one per month, the last entry per month. So I'm going to select months here, and you notice I think one of the data points disappeared. They're both in the same month. And then I have my choice of either the last value, so in the last value in the month, which in this particular case, because we're continuously climbing up, we probably want to have the last value. The other thing you can select is the average value for the month, or month, year, quarter, whatever you have in there, whatever you selected. Where that gets you is if you have one of those little charts like we had, remember we had the performing 9 training sessions each month. So it's probably sitting here going up and down, up and down, up and down across the bottom. At that point in time, I might want to see the average and not the last value, because the last value might be deceiving. But if I say I want to see the average across that for the month, then I can look at it that way. So that's what these selections are: a date range that I want to have in here, and then I can pick my timeline. It goes anywhere from days to years, and then I can either say the last value or the average value. Over here on the top right, this one really doesn't do anything right now, because the objective we selected is a percent measurement. There's also, if you might recall, you can go in and select a data value in here. So you can say values instead of percentage. And that way the chart, instead of having percentage over here, would have the range of data values in here. But for today, we're going to just use the percent. So the other option we have up here is the scale. So we have either the auto scale, which is the highest value plus 10%. So the highest value is 25, so it really is 27.5%, I think, up there. Or I can say 100%. If I say 100%, it just gives us a 0 to 100% scale. Now, to me, this is not as impressive. It looks like a slower growth, even though it's identical. It's not. So the auto scale is kind of your default, because it kind of shows you as much as you can get on the chart. So those are the tweaks that you can make up here. Now, if you are a manager level user or an org admin level user, you'll see this button down here, the Save Defaults. So let's say I set this for year one for 2021. So, January 1 through December 31st of 2021. And I have a monthly cycle, and I have the last value of the month. And then I go up here and say I want the auto scale. If I save that, the next time you or anybody else goes into this chart, it's going to be exactly what you saved. Now, if you are, again, a manager or an org admin level user, you can go in and change them around and save it again. But if you're a normal user, what we call the normal user, they can see it the way that you set it up. They can change it temporarily while they're in it, but then there's no save button for them. They can go out, they can come back in, and it's going to default to the defaults that you set up there. So again, you can set it for how you want everybody to see it, which is typically a history view. This thing is completed, and I want to look at last year's data only, and there's something along that line. So that's what that's all about. So those are all the features, if you will, of the chart.
Okay.
Any questions on that?
No, it's pretty cool.
Okay, now let's go see where that data came from. There is a history table that is kept for every data element in here. So I'm going to go back again live. I'm going to go back to my objective. So the history is the hourglass right here. So for all of those data points that you just saw, I keep a record of them over time. And they are here. So what it's doing is showing you who did it. So it's Fred Erickson on 2/1 of 21. He added this planning element. It was a green light. It's number one. Here's the objective, the objective here. If there's any notes that are in there, it's going to show you the list of all the notes over time. Here's the actual data element that we're mapping on the chart here. 0, 10, 15, 20, as you saw over there. So this is the data that we're mapping. So this is the history record. Now, you can change some of these things. So sometimes you're in there, you're showing somebody the system, and you click it a couple of times, and there's a little dialogue that comes up. If you're going to generate a duplicate record, it's going to say, hey, all the data is duplicated. Do you want to generate a duplicate history record? Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. But let's say you've generated a couple of duplicate records, and they're up here at the top. You can always go click on the date field over here. It shows up down here at the bottom, as you can see. If I wanted to delete that record, I just hit the red X, and it'll say, hey, you don't want to delete the record. So I can remove the duplicate records. The other thing you can do is change the date. So let me tell you where that would come in handy. Let's say you've been using the system now for a couple of months, but you have a lot of historical record that you are keeping in a spreadsheet or something, and you want to put it into the system just for historical reference here. What you would do is you're going to set the values on this screen down at the bottom here to where they were back in, let's say, February of 2020. So I'm going to set all the values down here. The first thing I'd probably want to do is do a screenshot of this just to keep it off the side so I can repopulate it when I'm done. But I'll go in and set it down here. Maybe it was at 10%, and there was a different objective lead, and notes are different or whatever. I'm going to set it for that. I'm going to save it. Now, when I save it, it's going to go back to the history file, and it's going to be at the very top up here. So then I can go in and click on the date, which will be today's date, and say, now I'm going to move it back to 2/1 of 20. And I can put the new date in here. I can save it. It moves the history record down to the bottom. So what I've done is add a historical record from before we were using the system. So that's just, and it's not used very often, but if you're kind of rolling it out and you want to put historical data in there, you have the ability to do that. Now, just a call.
Right.
Some people have gone in and say, hey, that's cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this. I'm going to save it. I'm going to change it to the next month or whatever. I'm going to save it. Change it to the next month. I'm going to save it. And then they go to the history records and start doing the dates. That doesn't work. And the reason is because from the time that you save it and go to the history and update the date, it does a ton of calculations in there. So it does all the measurements for the daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, annual totals that you saw on the drop down. It calculates the last date and the average date. So it's got it. What you got to do is, if you're going to use this, is change the values, save it, go to the history record, change the date on the history record, come back here, do the same thing again. So you got to go back and forth. It's a kind of a pain in the butt, but that's the way you got to get it to have all the data being relevant in there. Just kind of an FYI.
Okay.
So that is the micro level, and that is where all the data comes from for the micro level. Questions on that?
No.
Okay. Let's go to reporting then. So there's a bunch of different reports in the system. For today, we're going to talk about, I think there's 5 of them we're going to talk about. The operational plan report at the top is by far the most used. There's a couple of them here. The category tag report, categorization report, and categories report are used for 3-dimensional planning. We're going to go into those reports when we do the next training in about a month on 3-dimensional planning. But for now, we're going to talk about the operational plan report. We're going to talk about the team lead report, which is the second most used report. We're going to talk about the partners report and the partners activities report. So let's go kind of live into the system. The reports menu, I'm going to go back to my groups, and I'm going to select my tobacco group here.
Okay.
The reports menu is this blue one up here at the top. Now, this is kind of a critical element to understand. You can generate a report at the group level. So in this case, the Tobacco 2024 group. If I do that, it's going to include all 3 of these services or initiatives. Now, by going to here and selecting tobacco cessation, you notice in my cookie Chrome, it says we're on tobacco cessation. If I generate the report from here and having this one populated, it's going to generate the report just for tobacco cessation. The reason for that is some plans are at the group level, like your strategic plan is typically the entire group. Some plans, like tobacco cessation, might be a plan within itself, and it starts at the service initiative level. So you have the option to generate the plan just for tobacco cessation or for all of these 3 initiatives. So that's why. So I'm going to go back to my group screen. Now, the other thing you'll notice when I went back to my group screen, the service initiative is still populated. So if I generate the report even from here, it's going to conclude just tobacco cessation. To get off of that, I just go back and click on the group again, and it disappears. So now when I generate the report, it's going to be for the entire group. So go to my reports menu, and let's start out with the operational plan report. Click on that. Now, this is saying that somewhere up the path in one of the plans at the service initiative level, there's a little checkbox in the bottom right corner that you can hide the service. This is saying you've hidden something in there, and this only shows up if you're a manager or an org admin level user. If you're a normal user, you don't even see this dialog because you can't see hidden services. But I'm going to go ahead and say, no, I don't want to see anything in here. So it's going to generate the operational plan report for me. So the first thing it puts in here is your vision, mission, and values, if you've entered those up here in this tab under the system here. And then the report itself starts out at the group level, the initiative of tobacco cessation, the goal, any notes show up in blue. The data source here, as you can see, shows up in red. So this is that link to the CDC smoking cessation fast facts webpage. I've got all the traffic lights. I've got the people who are assigned as the activity team. I've got Steve Hansen here who's assigned as the objective lead. Pretty much all the data in the world. And you'll notice down here at the bottom, it's got the other 2 initiatives showing up. And if they had plans underneath them, they would show up on here as well. Now let's talk about some of the tweaks up here on the top. So first of all, you got the show subgroups button. So if there are multi-level plans, in this case, I'm just looking at the tobacco plan up here. But if I had other plans under other groups, subgroups under tobacco, I hit the show subgroups. It's going to show a combined report for all of those plans together. So that's what that's about. The date field up here, there's a beginning and ending date. Now, every activity has got a beginning and ending date, at least an ending date. It has to have an ending date. And this is another kind of a instant expert piece of information. If you don't have an ending date in an activity, it will not show up on a report. And that's because it's always looking for a date range within the minimum and maximum dates, and a zero date is outside of that range in here. So just always, if you're entering activities, make sure you put in at least an ending date. So what this does is it gives me a beginning and ending date, and what it's looking for is the last or the ending date of the activity. So here's where this might be used. So we're getting kind of halfway through April right now, and I want to go say on all the plans that I'm attached to, like this plan, what am I supposed to be doing in the month of April? So I might go in here and put in April 1 through April 30th or 31, whatever April has. Put in the April dates in here. And when I filter it, it's going to show me just those activities that are supposed to be completed in April. When I get to the end of April, I can say, okay, what am I supposed to be focusing on in May? I go in and put in beginning and ending dates of May, and it's going to show me just the activities to be completed in May. So that's what that's all about. That's what the dates are for. And it's always on the ending date of the activity because, again, for that reason. Documents. So you can attach documents anywhere in the system. Right now, they're not showing, but if I click on this little checkbox and again say no to the hidden stuff, it's going to show up here in green where all the documents are attached. So you see the one document is attached, tobacco cessation report. Down here under the reduce smoking in high schools, I got a document attached. Down here at this objective, you see I have two documents attached. And if you get two documents, it's got I think it's a comma or a semicolon in between them. So it just, and you can have 100 of them attached right there, and it'll line roll and everything else for you in there. So that's what the documents is all about. And where this comes in really handy is for those people going through FAB accreditation. You got all the documents attached to the accreditation plan in there. And what you're doing then is attaching all those documents so you know you're going to have hundreds of them literally. So you can see which documents are attached where so you know what you're going to be showing or putting up into the FAB system here. The other thing we have up here is the ability to hide notes. So everything in blue are notes. Now, over a period of years, let's say, you could have pages and pages of notes. And it's kind of hard sometimes to read an operational plan if you have all the notes in there because it's kind of spaced out. So if I just want to see the plan without the notes, all I have to do is hit this hide button up here. And it's going to basically take everything in blue and just, take it out for now. So this is, I want to show somebody my plan, but I don't want to show them all of the notes and everything to confuse the plan. So you got the basic plan in there. Now I'm going to move over to I'll go back to here, the far right over here, the level. So we have the pyramid level, service, goal, objective, and activity. So I can say, what is the highest or the lowest level I want to show on here? I can say just services. And if I do that, it's going to show me just those three initiatives down here. So you can see we have the three initiatives, and I can go ahead and turn off the document management, and that document will go away. So now I have just the three initiatives. And I can say I want to see the initiatives and the goals. So again, it's going to show me, I think there's only goals under initiative 1. So it's got the 3 goals under there. So you're looking at what level do I want to look at. Now, the reason I showed you this first before the status dropdown is I'm going to go back to my activity levels here. The status says, let's say I have a plan with 150 activities in it. And I just want to scroll down through that plan and just see the ones that are in a certain status, like red, for instance. So I want to say, what are the ones that are really in trouble? What's in red here? So I'm selecting at the activity level. So what it's going to say is show me just the activities that are in red status here. If I had selected objectives up here, it's going to say show me just the objectives that are in red status or the goals that are in red status. And in this case, you see we're down at the only activity that's in red status is right here. So it's showing me just that activity. So it's just a way to filter by traffic light. The other thing you might want to do is say, show me everything that's gold, indicating it's completed. So you can just go down and look and say, yep, we've done a really good job. Everything's in gold. So just the ability to filter. And again, the filter is related to which level you have selected over here. Now, the next question is, how do I get this plan out onto a printer, into a PDF? How do I get it out? That's this button down here in the bottom right. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And
Okay.
it's going to give me the default report name of VMSG report.htm. Now, not a normal report format. HTML is an HTML or a web format. The nice thing about this report, it is in itself a web page. So I can save it as a web page. I can give it to my IT folks and say, hey, put this report up on our public-facing web page so people can see it. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. I'm just going to save it to my desktop for now. I'm going to leave the report as it is here. Just save the name there. So now when that report saves, I'm going to open it up in a new browser window. So this is the report in a browser window. So in effect, or actually it is a web page. And the HTML formatting is pretty much identical to like Word formatting. So you get all the structure and the tables and all that kind of stuff. So it's really kind of cool to be able to do that. Now from here, a couple things. Like I say, I can make this a web page. So I can send it to somebody and they open it up and it opens up in their browser. I can put it up on our public facing web page so our customers can see it. The other things you can do are based on the browser control. So over here, I can say print. When I print, I can say print to a PDF. It's going to generate a PDF. When you do that, by the way, my personal preference is landscape mode and narrow margins. So if you do narrow margins, it's going to give you the most on the screen here. And landscape mode kind of looks like this, so it looks a little bit better. The other thing you can do, obviously, is print it to a printer. Again, I kind of recommend the same thing, landscape and narrow margins on your printer. So it'll print the whole thing. The other nice thing you can do with this, because of the formatting is pretty much identical to like Microsoft Word, I can click on this report anywhere, hit Control A or select all, hit Control C, copy, open up a blank Word document, flip it to landscape and narrow margins, Control V to paste it into the document. It'll look exactly like this report. So now what I can do is say, okay, I really don't need to have my vision, mission, and values in this report for this particular instance here. So I can go in, highlight them, and erase them. I can go in and say, I want to highlight that I'm looking at tobacco cessation. So I can highlight it in yellow like you can in Word, that sort of thing. So you can put it right into Word. And again, the formatting all follows the same and everything. So you can do lots of different things with the report. And again, the reason we did the HTML is because it's a web page and it can do kind of anything you want it to do. So that's how you get any of the reports out, is this bottom right, same exact thing on the, it'll generate the report no matter what report it is. Okay, let's go back and look at some of the other reports. The next one is the team lead report. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to go back and select my group of community health again and go to my reports menu and say, I want to see the team lead report for community health. The team lead report is, remember, we assigned activity leads and objective leads. And in your plan, you assigned yourself to that. Now, what I want to see now is, where is this person attached anywhere in the system? In this case, anywhere in community health. I'm going to go down and select Andrea. So I got some options down here at the bottom. I can say I want to select the individual, which in this case would just be Andrea, because that's who I've selected. Or the group, in this case, it would be everybody in community health, so these three people. So the report would include all three of those people. And then I can say all, which would say, show me everybody in the department. Now, I'm going to warn you, if you select all, it's going to be a big report. And it's going to take a while to generate, so just be patient. Over here in the bottom right, I'm selecting, do I want to see where this person is attached to activities or objectives? So let's say I want to see, right now, I want to see everywhere that Andrea is attached as the objective lead. And I've got two choices. The magnifying glass says, show me an editable screen so I can see all of the objectives she's attached to. So I'm going to go ahead and say, yeah, do that. And here it is. This is her list of objectives. So this is, again, a lot of demo data in here, but she's attached to all of these, as you can see down here. This is really handy if, let's say, Andrew is retiring next month and you're going to roll them over to somebody else. You can just kind of cycle down through theirs, go down and check the objective lead, put a new one in there, whatever you need to do. Now, if you have something like this where you got, looks like 20 maybe objective leads or something like that, and you're rolling it out to somebody else, so maybe somebody's taking over Andrea's slot, just send me the names. I got a tool that I can push that automatically for you, so you don't have to go through this process. But it also kind of lets you know, how's Andrea doing in each of her assigned objectives. So you got the traffic lights over here, you got the data status values over here, all that kind of stuff. Now I'm going to go back to that previous screen here. The other option I have is to generate a report with the same information. So in this case, I want to say, let's say I want to see all of the activities that Andrea is the lead. She's not a team member. I got three selections. Lead is just where she's the lead. Team member is just where she's a team member and not the lead. Or either says whether she's the team member or lead. I want to see the activities. So I've selected activities over here. And again, I can look at an editable screen or I can generate a report. I'm going to go ahead and say, I'm going to generate the report this time. And it takes a little while to go through all this. But this is going to be a report of every activity where Andrea is assigned as the team lead. And again, I have the options over here to say everybody in this group is a team lead or everybody in the organization is a team lead. Now, here's where these reports come in really handy. Let's say you're the community health director and you're going to have a one-on-one meeting with each of your staff members. When you get all this information in the system, why not use it? So I'm going to generate this report and say, Andrea, here's everything that I show that you're doing in the system here. And I want to be able to kind of review these with you. So here's a copy of your report. Here's my copy of the report. And here it is. So I've got everything that Andrea is doing, whether she's the objective lead or the activity lead, all the way down the path. So every activity in here. So it just gives you a chance to review real data. You know, you're not just going in there and doing fluff. You're in here saying, okay, you've completed this particular activity. This one's in green status. Let's see, do we have anything down here? Andrea's doing really well. She didn't have anything other than green and gold. But if I had, yellows and reds, I'd want to identify those and take a look and say, what help do you need from me to get back to green status or to complete this as gold or whatever. So that's what this report's all about. And really it's a very handy tool for doing things like reviews, that sort of thing. Or, as you're changing out people or somebody's retiring or something, you can go in and generate the report and say, maybe do a final walkthrough with them on everything so you can change them over, whatever you need to do. Okay, so that is the team lead report. This is the one that's used next to the operational plan report. It's used second most often. Back to our reports. The next one we're going to talk about are those external partners. So if you remember at the bottom left of the activity screen, you can assign external partners. So the first thing I want to do is say, who are all my partners in the database? So I'm going to click on this report. Here's the list of the partner organizations on the left. Now I have some choices over here on the right. I can say, I just want to see the selected partners. So I just want to see the information about VMSG dashboard. I want to say, no, I want to see everybody. Do I want to print the contacts, so the people who are within the organization? I'm going to say yes. And the details is email addresses, phone numbers, that sort of thing. I'm going to go ahead and say yes. And then I'm going to go ahead and generate the report. And when I do, it just basically is a list of partners. So this is your list of all the partners you're working with. Again, this can come in handy if people are turning over. So maybe Joe's car seat installation went out of business, but they're still a partner, so you can take them out of the database that way. So it just gives you a list of everything. Plus, it also gives you the contact information. So you got the CEO down here, and you got Andrea. So anyhow, you got all the people associated with those particular partners in there. So that's the partner list. The next one is the partner activities. So where did I assign partners? So as you recall, in the tobacco cessation plan for creating content, we had Fred Erickson at VMSG dashboard assigned. So I got two choices. On the left side is the organization. On the right side is the specific partner within the organization. I can have as many partner contacts as I need to over here and as many organizations. So if I wanted to see just where anybody at VMSG dashboard was assigned to an activity, I can go down and click either, again, the magnifying glass, which gives me that same editable screen so I can change out the partners if necessary, or I can generate the report, same as you saw with Andrea before, except for the partners. Or if I just want to see just where Fred is attached, same thing, editable screen or report in here. So it's, and I won't waste the time, but you're going to see the same exact report as you saw, except it's going to say at the top, this is where Fred Erickson is attached, and it lists every activity down there. And again, the same thing. I'm having a quarterly meeting with my partners. I want to be able to show them everything that we see that they're doing, and then talk to them about other things they could be doing or things that they've completed, whatever it happens to be. Or again, if Fred is changed out of VMSG dashboard. I can go in here and get my editable screen and change it to Andrea or to anybody else, who's in there. So that's your partner contact report. So where are the partners assigned in there? So we already talked about that. Okay, so that is the reporting that we're going to talk about today. Again, there's a couple other reports we'll go into when we get into the three-dimensional planning. But questions on the reports? Anything that didn't make sense? Or?
No, it makes a lot of sense. This is a pretty awesome tool here
Oh,
that we can get implemented and utilized agency wide. Once again, I know my purpose was related to EHE, and
right.
actually I had some guidance from the state, because I think they're the ones who pushed it down to all the counties to utilize it. And I know there's been some change there, but I mean, regardless of that, I mean, I'm just looking with my own, other projects at how useful this could be. And we have a performance improvement, department within Duval County. And I'm not even sure if they use this or what they're using at the moment. I'm fairly new here, so I'm just trying to get, my bearings. But this is it has a ton of information, centralized, like you said. It has multi-purposes. I love the fact of, performance evaluation. I'll have one at the end of the fiscal year, and it'd be nice to say, hey, if I have my stuff in here, like here's kind of all the things that I have currently going on, and the status of it.
Yeah.
But just just getting a pulse on any project, just having see where everything's at. This is a great project management tool. I think it's a great quality improvement tool, all above, all in one place, which this is, to me, is pretty remarkable tool.
Well,
So,
I really appreciate the kind words, and that's exactly what it's for. Is anything that you can manage over a period of time is available in a dashboard. So, well, let's talk. Let's talk about VMSG Public. This is really the cool tool that I'm going to show you here, and it's very, very simple to implement. So I'm going to go back to, let's go ahead and look at the Florida HIV program here. And Florida HIV. And again, I looked down some of the groups, and the information from Duval is a little bit old in there. So I'm going to go ahead and use Broward County. So now what I want to do is generate a web page that shows me the status of the EHE plan for Broward County. And with this little guy right here with the three different people on it is the VMSG Public. So when I click on that, it's going to give me the option, what level do I want to summarize? And basically it's the three levels with traffic lights: goals, objectives, or activities. We go down to the activity level here. I'm going to click the save button. So what it's going to do now is generate an indicator row for the entire plan, all the way, every activity in the plan. And I think there's like 100 of them in there or something. So here's what it shows, is this chart. It says we have 65 green, we have, looks like 36 gold, 9 red, and 6 yellow activities in there. And currently it shows that we're 74 days behind schedule. So that's the entire plan. So I'm going to say, yeah, I want to keep that as my first row. So I'm going to save it. Now we've done this. So we got Duval. Okay, it looks like we've created for all of them. So I'm going to go ahead and just uncheck these for now, and we'll continue to work on Broward. It looks like we've done these for all the different counties in there. So, okay, I've got Broward in there as my first row. Now I'm going to go back to the services initiative. So we got the 4 different services under here. Let's go ahead and do one for diagnose. So same thing, click on here, activity level, save it. It's going to give me another indicator row, and it's going to identify it as strategy diagnose. And then we'll say again, we got the rollovers here to see how many different traffic lights. We'll save that, go back again up here, treat, generate it. And this is how easy it is. I mean, it's just, as you can see, it's very simple to do. And we'll generate that one. Again, look at the rollovers. Everything is good. This one, we're only 1 day behind schedule. Save that. Go back up to our services, prevent, generate that, save it. And by the way, you can do this at any level, all the way down to the activity level. And when you get down to the objective and activity level, you can actually create And maybe we'll try to take a look at one of those at the bottom here. But again, I got my rollovers here. We'll save that. And let's go do the last one since we're doing it here. Respond. Okay, so we got those in there. We'll save that. Okay, so now we have these 5 indicator rows. We can generate the web page. Let me go in just for kicks and drill down a little bit and see if we have something that we could do in here. So let's go to diagnose, go down to goals, objectives, expand a routine, HIV testing. Let me look at the chart here, see if it has anything in there. No, no history records. Let's see. Yeah, nothing good in here.
Okay.
Let me take a look, see if there's any of them just quickly here. No, they really haven't been keeping the stat. Oh yeah, you can see down here the status is really not up to date. See if there's any activities that might have a status on them. Let's take a look at this one here. Oh, there we go. Okay, so there's a kind of a cool chart. What I can do now, here's the VMSG public for this chart. So I'm going to go ahead and say, let's go ahead and generate the chart. And there it is. That's what it's going to look like. We'll save that. So now that's my last row. Now, to generate the web page, it's real simple. I just click on the export button here. And I can say either create a new one or overwrite one. Where this comes in handy is if you create a web page, and let's say you give the link to your IT folks and they put it up on your public-facing website. When you say overwrite, it's going to overwrite the data behind that link without changing the link. So now the same link on your website will get you to the updated data. So that's what that's about. For now, we're going to go ahead and say a new web page. So this is the web page right here. Our first level is the entire ending the HIV epidemic for Broward County. And then we have each of the strategies here, as you can see. And then down at the bottom here is that activity that we had down there. So you can see the activity chart. So I'm going to go ahead and say, yeah, that's exactly what I want to see. I'll save it. That gives me the option to give it a title. We'll just say demo page, save that. And now this is the link right here. So you might notice that it's actually on our website. So what happens is if you grab this link, Control C, and I'll open up a new browser tab and hit Control V, enter. Now what it's doing is showing me that exact same web page at this link. So you can take this link and email it to somebody. You can put it up on your web page, whatever you want to be able to do. And this can be as long as you want, by the way. As you can see, you can have every service, goal, objective, and activity if you wanted to have in there. Probably too much data in there. You're trying to keep it down in here. So that's how you generate the VMSG public web page. It's really pretty simple, straightforward. It takes you about 5 minutes to do that.
Yeah.
Now, all of this data over here. So for instance, this is a lot of information defining the activity right here. You may or may not want that much information. So here's how you can fix that. Go back over to here, go to the main menu and scroll down to the bottom. You have VMSG public indicator rows and web pages. So I'm going to hit the indicator rows. So you saw this screen before. I want to go ahead and eliminate everything except the actual activity itself. So what you see in here, are you familiar with HTML at all?
I am a bit.
Okay, so you'll know these tags in here. I'll go over some of them in here, but you can put any HTML tags in there. So you can put graphics in there, you can put links in there. It's kind of a mini web page in itself. But for this point in time, I just want to say I want to eliminate everything up till here, and I want to eliminate all of the tags at the end here. Delete that, and then I'll go ahead and save that. And now this is my preview button right here. So I'm going to just preview that row. So basically it took everything out except the description of the activity itself. So you can modify those right there any way you want them. Now, you can also get really, really fancy with HTML. We use basically 4 tags, and let's go ahead and talk about those here. So the first one is font. So you got the font, you got the face. We chose Arial here. Size is 1 to 7, size 2. Color can be pretty much anything you can think of. It can be dark pink, it can be light blue, whatever you want. It'll find a color to match it here. or you can use the pound sign and 6-digit code to get the exact color if you want to. What I do if I want to find a color is I'll go into like Microsoft Word, and then I'll go in and make the color that I want the way I want it, and then I'll grab the code out of Word and put it in there. To me, that's kind of the easiest way. And then the text
Okay.
that you're going to actually be working on is right here, and then you put the slash font at the end to close the tag here, and then the text looks like this. So that's the kind of the most complex one. Bold, you got the bracket B and the bracket slash B, and then the text looks bold, obviously. Italics, same thing. You can combine these together, so you could put the bracket B, bracket I, bold text, or you can put bold italic text here. Then you can put in bracket slash I, bracket slash B, and then you'll have bold italic text in here.
Right. Okay.
And then line breaks is just BR at the end of the line. You can put 10 of them in a row if you want to have 10 vertical spaces in there. There's no close tag on BR. So this is the basic stuff. But again, you can put in links. So here's what we had one of our customers do. They had the VMSG public page on the left side. It was for the strategic plan, I think. And it said, for more detail, click here. And they put a link into that report. So the strategic plan report that I showed you, that is a web page. So put a link right into that report. So now if somebody wanted to go to more detail, they click the link, it opens a new browser tab with the report in it. So they can go from the graphical view to the detailed report view if they wanted to. So again, anything you can think of that you can do with HTML. If you're not comfortable with it, just Google HTML tags, and there's thousands of web pages out there with all that information in there.
Okay. Cool.
So that was the plan for today. What else can I show you?
I think we're good. I think part of it is just me playing with it now, putting some real stuff in here. But just I would, for my little section, I would do it for a lot of project management kind of. I'm the clinical quality manager here, so we have a number of metrics that we are reviewing. Obviously in HIV, viral load suppression, I'd like to start inputting, data on a monthly basis, so we can keep track of it. Because
that would be awesome.
What's that?
And so that would be awesome. And by the way, as you're going through that, and if you have any questions or need any help, please feel free to reach out to me, and we can pop open a GoToMeeting and walk through whatever you need to do.
Yeah. We can, kind of similar to what that activity you had me do with, the marathon thing. I just need to put it out on paper a little bit and just think it out. And, because right now I'm trying to work with our state health office, trying to get what their directives are, what our main priorities should be, whether it's, client retention, or if it's viral load suppression, ART prescriptions, what have you. I just want to make sure that we're all aligned on that, and then I can just start inputting, our local data inside.
Awesome.
And
awesome.
again, and share hopefully with the group that way, with my leadership, and then of course with the state as well, since they provide us some funding for Part B.
Like I said, if you're going through it and you need any help, please feel free to reach out. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put the recording up on YouTube, and I'll send you the link for YouTube, so you got the recording of what we just went through today.
Yeah, no, I think the recording is definitely very helpful. I can just go back to some of the notes and what you've done. So, but yeah, I think it's a lot of it's intuitive, but yeah, but just doing it a few times, like you said, just going to the bottom, adding the objective or the activity, saving it down there, making sure it gets uploaded to the top.
Yep.
I mean that, and then of course, just running these different reports, which I definitely am, interested in doing once I have data in there. So
yeah, once you get your fingers in there and start playing with it, you'll find all kinds of cool things that you can do in there.
Yep.
Okay, sir. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate it. And again, please feel free to reach out anytime.
Okay, thank you, Fred. I appreciate your time too and your expertise. And I may be reaching out to you when I start playing with this more.
That'd be great. Thanks, Radley.
Right. Have a great one.
You too. Bye-bye.